Good afternoon, everybody. I know it's been a minute since I have done any kind of recipes. So today, first let me say this recipe I found with another creator I follow, Seasoned with Greer. She makes some really great stuff. So she made a pumpkin spice monkey bread. I don't like the way pumpkin spice smells. It gives me a migraine, and I don't like pumpkin. So I'm going to do it a little bit different. I'm going to use some extra cinnamon, and I am going to grate up an apple to go in it. So I'm going to do a little bit different, but you know, this is her recipe. So if you want the pumpkin spice one, please go to her page, again, Seasoned with Greer. So what you're going to need, you're going to need 3 cans of biscuits. I happen to have this one and these other ones. As long as it's not the flaky, you can use whichever biscuits. You're going to need a cup of sugar. You're going to need an apple. You're going to need 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. You're going to need a bundt pan. You're going to need some spray for the once we get this done, once we go to the topping, you're going to need a cup and a half of brown sugar. You're going to need a stick of butter, and you're going to need a cup of cream or heavy whipping cream. I don't have heavy whipping cream, so I'm just going to use cream. It's not going to make that much of a difference. And you're going to need 2 tablespoons of vanilla, and always put just a little almond in there in a whisk. Okay, so I'm going to get this started, and you can come along with me. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to open up all your biscuits, and you're going to cut them into 4s like that. Okay, so you're going to get those cut up. You're going to get a bag. You're going to just cut them up like that. You're going to get you a bag like this. You're going to pour your sugar. That's 1 cup of sugar, and since I'm using just cinnamon and not cinnamon and pumpkin spice, I'm using 4 tablespoons of cinnamon instead of 2 pumpkin spice and 2 cinnamon. So I'm going to pour that in there, and then you're just going to shake it up till it's all mixed up. Okay, and we're just going to set that aside a minute, and we're going to finish cutting this up. Okay, so once you get them all cut up like that, you're going to spray your bundt pan with some canola oil or some kind of spray. Make sure you get it all the way around. All right, and then you're going to take half of your chopped up pieces of biscuit, and you're going to put them in here. All right, and then you're going to shake this up. Make sure they all get nice and coated. Okay, just like that. And then you're going to put them into the bottom. All right, we're going to get this filled, and then we're going to do the second half. Okay, so once you get them all coated, you've got them in your pan. Just set this aside away from any kind of heat. Your oven should be preheating at 350 degrees. And then I'm going to set this over here. And since I'm using apple, now again, she used the pumpkin puree, but I don't like it. So I am going to just grate up an apple and put that in with it. So let me get this grated up, and then we will get our sauce done and pour it over the top. Okay, so now that you've got that done, I've got my apple shredded. We're going to put a stick of butter and a cup and a half of brown sugar. We're going to get this completely melted. You're going to stir it. Should take just a few minutes to get this all stirred up. And once it's melted, we're going to add in our cream and our apples. So just give me a second to get this stirred up and get it melted. Okay, so once you get the butter melted and you start seeing that the brown sugar has started to dissolve, you're going to pour in your cup of heavy whipping cream, or cream, because that's what I have on hand, so that's what I'm using. You're going to whisk this. You're going to get it whisked in. Okay, and you're going to add 2 tablespoons of vanilla, which is usually about 4 caps, I guess. Well, or the rest of my vanilla, whichever works. And then I always like to add about a half cap or so of almond. And you're going to get this whisked. You're going to whisk. Okay. All right, once this is all mixed together, now I'm going to add in my apple. All right. And you don't have to do this step. You can do just the caramel sauce, or you can do the pumpkin puree. I like apples, so I'm going to put that in this sauce. This is going to need to cook on medium, stir it for about 5 minutes. So let me get this nice and cooked down, and I will be back. Okay, so once this starts to slightly thicken, it's been 3 or 4 minutes. 3 to 5 minutes is, just kind of depending on your stove. But once it gets to that consistency, we're going to pour this over. You're going to get it all poured. Make sure you cover everything. Okay. Now, once you have that, you're going to have your bundt pan. Put it on top of a baking sheet. We're going to put this in the oven for 45 to 50 minutes. And then we're going to check it and see how it's doing. So once I get this out of the oven, I'll let y'all know exactly how long it took to get it to completely cook. Okay, so that took 45 minutes. When it comes out, you're going to immediately put it on a cooling rack and let it cool for 15 minutes. Now, I will say, I thought about this after I put the apples in. If you're going to do the apples, what I'm going to do the next time I do this is I'm going to sprinkle apples on the bottom of the pan, then put some of the dough, and then in the middle add more apple, and then the dough, and then pour the juice all over everything before I put it in the oven. Because putting the apples on the top here, when I flip it, apples are just going to be on this side. But, it's my first time making it, live and learn. When you kind of adjust recipes, you got to kind of, take into account it may not turn out exactly how you wanted it the first time, but you learn. So, I'm sure it's still going to taste yummy, but I'm going to give this 15 minutes. I'm going to flip it, and we're going to give it a taste. Okay, it's been 15 minutes, and you're going to need to go around it with a spatula or something just to make sure, it's not sticking anywhere, and it'll come out easy. So we're going to get that done. Sorry, I know I'm hitting this. All right, so once you do that, you're going to take a plate, a platter, or whatever, and we're going to flip it and hope okay. I don't think this is going to come out real easy. Ooh, yes, there we go. Okay, I got one little piece missing, but actually it looks pretty good. Now, like I said, since I did the apple, I would, in future, put some apple at the bottom, so when you flip it over, you have that caramelized apples on the top, and then put some apples in the middle. But for now, there's this. So I'm going to, I'm going to wait a minute, let this cool off, and then I'm going to pull some off, and we're going to give it a taste. Okay, so real quick, I went ahead and I just pulled a bite off of the bottom with the apples in it. I'm going to give it a taste. Oh my God. That's really good. Like I said, this is original recipe. Came from Seasoned with Greer. I'm going to try to copy her, or however you do that. She did hers with pumpkin spice and pumpkin puree. I did mine with apples. And just made a few little changes. My first time making this, so it tastes delicious. Don't look as pretty as hers, of course, but it still tastes good. So, have any questions, let me know. If not, enjoy, y'all.